I'm gonna start this one off with a little story. So, I got about an hour of sleep last night, and it's because our dog kept trying to wake us up. And then finally, when the sun rose up, I went, alright, I'll take him on his walk. I woke up, after only getting about an hour's sleep, walking through the park, he started rolling around the grass, and then he came back, and he was all dirty. I was like, oh, that's dirt on you. I wiped the dirt off, looked at my hand, it was shit. He had rolled around in poop. He was dirty with poop, my hand was dirty with poop. We came back home, I scrubbed up good, then I had to give him a bath and he fought the entire time. And I bring this story up because that's how I started my day, and it still was not as bad as having to see this movie. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for the Emoji movie. And for anybody who has not seen a post-Geekout reaction before, it is not a review. I am going to do a review of this. And in the review, I sit down, think of everything that I want to say, write it all out, record it, edit it, and there are no spoilers. The post-Geekout reaction is just our open, honest discussion about the thing that we just watched. And you did not see this.
No, it was like, I felt like I should go with you for moral support because I knew this was going to be garbage.
Yeah, but at the same time, I get to go and see these movies semi for free.
Yeah.
You would have to pay for it.
Yeah, and this movie's not, no.
We're not spending our money on that.
No.
That is something, listen, if you guys want to get into our actual discussion about this film, and I know that you do because you love seeing me rant about bad movies, and this is indeed a bad movie, skip ahead by about 5 minutes, because I tweeted out, on my Twitter, @ProfessorThorgy, I tweeted out that I was going to go and see this movie. And a lot of people kind of like went along with like, oh, you poor person, oh, we will remember you fine. Like, I got a lot of jokes there. But I got several messages of people coming in here and going, why are you supporting this? And some people you could tell it was jokes, but a few other people you could kind of like looking like, no, you're serious on this. Like, they were like going on a rant about how it's like, oh, you're helping destroy cinema by just supporting something like this. Don't spend your dollars on this. Vote with your dollars on this. Don't do... Okay, guys. I gotta light you guys up here for a second. I'm sorry. I love you, but let's go ahead and stop and just talk about this. I don't actually spend money on movie tickets anymore. I have a thing called Movie Pass. It is this program where if you pay $50 a month, you get to go and see one free movie a day. So, none of my actual money actually went towards this film. I have seen 6 movies in the past 3 weeks. The last 2 movies I've seen, actually no, the last 3 movies I've seen, totally been for free. I have gone past that $50, so I did not have to pay anything to see the Emoji movie. But yes, the Movie Pass people, their money went to this. So yes, the Emoji people did get money from me going and seeing this. However, one ticket it's literally makes 0 impact on the overall gross of this. And if you had friends, like a group of friends, who are like, yeah, we're all gonna go and see it because we think it'll be funny, and you wanna try and talk them out of it, go for it. If you see a message board where everybody's like, well, we're gonna go and see it because we know it's gonna be bad, you wanna try and talk them out of it, go for it. I'm a freaking critic. I have to review these things. I don't have a choice. So me spending money to see one bad movie will not make any difference at all. It is not going to support this film. However, YouTube pays me for these reviews. Every time that you guys watch these videos, I make money off of it. And granted, it's not a ton of money, but this, right now, the lights in this apartment, it's paid by the money I make from doing these reviews. The food in our fridge is paid by the money I make from doing these reviews. My health insurance is going to be paid by the money I make from doing these reviews. I'm not supporting the Emoji movie. The Emoji movie is supporting me. Alright, hey Cosmo. Cosmo heard me yelling, he got concerned. Yes. As always, it's Cosmo! He's going to start chewing wires any second now. Yeah, that's the, I just want to say that right now, folks, is that, let me get that straight. Yeah, I just had to go ahead and get that out of the way, because like people were talking about that on Twitter to me, and I was just like, guys, I don't think you realize, it's my job to go out there and review these films. This is actually not like a hobby anymore. This is legitimately what I have to do for a living now. One ticket will not change anything, but it will allow me to keep the lights on here. And also, I know there's some people who are gonna be like, well, why don't you only see the good films? Because I'm trying to actually be a good critic. And yeah, nothing offends me more than those critics who are like, well, I just go and see the films that I'm looking forward to. Well, then you're not a critic. You're just somebody who goes out there and just sees the stuff that you like and you make money off of it.
Also, the reviews you do for bad movies get way more.
Way more. Let's be honest, people. Let's be real. The past 2 weeks, I've reviewed one bad movie a week and one good movie a week, and the bad one outpaced the good one in a third the time. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's guys, just chill out on the why are you supporting this thing. I'm not supporting it. One ticket doesn't change anything. It's my career. I have to do this. It's what the adult world calls doing your fucking job. Remember when we used to be, before I did YouTube, we did a podcast. It was a movie review podcast. And we did it with 8 other guys. And we're between all of us, we can pretty much see everything out there and talk about everything out there. And whenever a bad movie came up, they were the most snobbish motherfuckers on the planet. They were no, I refuse to go and see something like that. Oh, God, why on earth would I want to do that? And it's because didn't you join this because you wanted to become your living? Yes, I did. I did want this to become my living. Well, then, man up and fucking do it. So, no, we had to see all the bad movies, just the 2 of us, while everybody else just went out there to see the really nice, fancy art films. You don't think I want to see a really nice, fancy art film this week? No. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm very confused. I'm very tired. Yes, I do. But I gotta see the fucking Emoji movie because it's the one everybody wants to hear about. So there. That's my little rant. It's over with. I'm sorry that I am so sleepy right now. As I said, I didn't come back and nap. I saw the movie and then came back to do this. I'm still on 1 hour sleep. Cosmo is just asleep behind us right now.
Yes.
And all I can think is, you kept us up all night. And you're just gonna sleep right in the middle of this thing. Alright, fine. Okay, so...
Angry face emoji.
Angry face emoji. This movie can suck my eggplant emoji.
Middle
Okay.
finger emoji.
Is that an actual thing? I don't know.
Yes, there is.
I don't fucking...
Yeah, you don't really use emojis.
I don't use emojis, I don't.
No.
I use, what do you call them? They make a joke about it at the beginning of this film, but the pre-emoji emojis.
Oh, yeah.
The words I'll do a colon and a capital P for the bleh. I do that. That's what I do. Because I'm an old man. As made evident by my old sea captain hat. But yeah. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. Basically, the Emoji film, it's about all the emojis. They live in their own special world called Texopolis. Oh, that's getting you right out? Okay. There's a lot more to this that's going to get you then. What's his face? TJ Miller. He plays an emoji. He is a meh. He's a, the whatever face. And it's his first day on the job. And what it is that if you're an emoji, you go and you just stand in a big box. It looks like the Hollywood square boxes.
Yeah, I saw the trailer
so it just,
for it.
spans out, yeah. And then, when they bring up, the little, screen on their actual phone, they then scan you. When they scan you, you have to make the face, and then that face pops up on there. It's this is the longest road you could take to get to make an emoji pop up on my screen, because it's not like it scans them and then just takes their DNA or something. It's oh, that makes the face. They then have to form the symbol themselves when it scans them, and it's you're not allowed to move when you do that. You have to be frozen in that one place. Cardboard cutouts. Cardboard cutouts solves this entire problem, right off the bat. Why don't you just make cardboard cutouts of all of you, put them on the wall, and then just scan those whenever you need them?
But they need a job. They need to work. They need to put food on the table.
Someone's got to make the cardboard cutouts. There would still be an economy in this world. But yeah, and that's the other thing.
What did they eat? Did they eat hashtags?
No, there's never any.
Hash brown tags?
Shut
I
up.
was trying to make a joke, but...
Shut up. Just shut your mouth. Shut your filthy mouth. Shut it. Shut your filthy...
You're not having this, are you?
No. I will say this. Let's just get into this thing. Okay. Because everybody wants to know, how bad is this? I will go ahead, before I finish telling you about the story, I will go ahead and address... This is bad. It will easily be in my 10 worst films of the year list. However, this is why I say it's important to go out there and see all the big releases, because then it allows you to provide context to the things that you've seen. It allows you to be able to compare them to other things that you've seen. And last year, my worst film of the year was Norm of the North. this is not as bad as Norm of the North. At the moment, Norm of the North has a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this one's got an 8%. This one, it's not as bad as Norm of the North. However, there are some areas in this movie where it's worse than Norm of the North. And I'll get into those in just a moment. But now that you know where I'm coming from in this film, basically, the meh emoji, he now has to be eradicated because he got up there, he was like, oh, I'm freaking out, and they started turning into like 9 other different emojis at once, and he screwed up a text. And so they looked at him and was like, you're a freak. I can't remember the exact word they used for him, but it's basically like, freak is what they're calling him. And it's like, you're capable of making multiple emotions. You're capable of turning into different emojis. That can't be. So they're like, well, we have to delete you because if our owner looks at the phone and he sees that the emoji went wrong, then he'll think that the phone is bad and he'll delete all the information in the phone. He'll just throw it away and get a new phone. I was like, for real? Because my phone fucks up all the time and I just soldier through it. Like, this is a thing where it's like, oh my god, that emoji wasn't the one I selected. I'd like to delete all the information on this, please. Like,
so, like, every phone is their own textopolis?
Yes, exactly. That's it, yeah. Every single phone is its own society. But so basically, he then has to now escape from these robots that are chasing after him. They're like a malware program that like tries to delete him. Mm-hmm. They're basically like Terminator creature things. And he teams up with the high five emoji, who used to be the big man on campus, but their owner doesn't use the high five emoji anymore. So they then decide, well, if we find a hacker, they can then go in, change your code, turn you to the meh emoji, and they can also find out a way to make me the big man on campus again, make me one of the popular ones again. All right? I was like, well, you're just kind of screwed all over again because then this kid will be selecting whatever he wants and the high five emoji will just keep popping up. That's way worse. That'll get the whole world in even more trouble. But I mean... Also,
like, what did the kid do to, like, stop using the high five emoji?
There's no explanation of that. I didn't even think about that until now. It's that insignificant to it. It was just like, so like I want to use something else now.
So like, what's the cool hip new emoji that these kids are doing?
They actually do bring that up. It's the fist bump one.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, I guess maybe it's like, all right, that's the cooler version of the high five.
Yes.
Whatever. Although I will say, the reason this kid gets upset is because there's this girl who like sent him a text and he's got a crush on her. He's like, oh, I gotta think about the perfect thing to send her back. What should it be? What would be the perfect thing to send her back? And he wanted to select the meh emoji.
That's stupid.
Yeah, fuck this kid. This kid is trying to do that thing where he's trying to be like, oh, I'm too cool to like just show some emotion. It was like, yeah, maybe I'll come to the party. Maybe. It's like, fuck you, kid. You don't deserve to get a girlfriend in high school. It's like, girls don't actually like that, all right?
No.
Girls like confidence. But confidence doesn't always mean douchebag. Confidence doesn't always mean lack of caring about anything. That oftentimes looks like confidence because it looks like you're confident in not caring about things, but like...
No, you have to be confident about your feelings. That's what we like.
Yeah, see, there you go. From an actual female specimen.
Yes!
Yay.
Ooh, big surprise there.
I'm so fucking tired, and we just began. This is gonna be an hour-long episode. Oh, this is my endurance trial.
And Cosmo's pawing me in the back.
Go on, buddy. People at home can't even see him.
No.
Okay. So, anyway.
If you want, I can just, like, get up and, like, talk off screen while Cosmo takes up my spot.
It's fine. People don't care about Cosmo. They care about these emojis. That's what all the kids are into.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why they decide to then leave the text world. And I should point out the discussion I just gave right there. It was basically exactly that. What I just said, that is all the communication the meh emoji and the high five have between each other before they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Let's go out on an adventure. I was like, all right, because this movie moves fast. It moves so fast. I have a bad habit of when I'm sleepy, I fall asleep in films. When I'm tired, I fall asleep in films. I did not fall asleep at this one. I was making sure to stay awake because I was like, I gotta make sure, everybody needs to know if this thing is that bad, I gotta make sure I give it a fair shake. I do not want to come in here and just jump on the bandwagon of hating it and just repeating what everyone else says. I want to know why it's bad. And this thing moves so quick, and it jumps around from one thing to the next so rapidly. They were literally, when it jumped after they decided to team up and they were instantly somewhere else, I literally was like, did I fall asleep and I didn't know it? No, it's focusing. I couldn't fall asleep. Did I fall asleep? Oh my god, am I having a stroke?
It's like, what do kids have these days? Phones and ADD.
The thing is, they make that joke in the beginning of this.
Oh my god.
They make a joke in the beginning of this. They're like, smartphones are the greatest invention of all time. And they keep talking about like, oh, how wonderful smartphones are and how the emojis allow us to express so many things all at once. And then it like starts listing off like all the things that phones provide, and then it goes, short attention spans. You're probably not even listening to me anymore right now. It's like, what happened to all that like phones are amazing crap you were just talking 5 seconds ago? You can't be cynical and positive at the same time about the same thing. Yeah, that's where they start this thing with. But yeah, it moves so fucking fast in here. I literally was like, I don't know if I am falling. Like, it's like when you get blackout drunk and you're just like, yeah, you know what? I think I can play a game of darts. You blink, wake, and open your eyes up, and now the darts, and someone said, "Oh God, what just happened?" It's like, yeah, it was like one of those things. So they go then to this bar, and I'll say this is why I can say this is not as bad as Norm of the North, and it's not quite as bad as I was expecting it to be in certain areas, because there are some clever things in here. Like, one of the clever things is that the person who runs the whole texting resource center and the one who becomes the villain of the thing and wants to destroy him, it's the smiley face emoji. So throughout the whole thing, it's like, oh, that's so wonderful. We're just gonna have to destroy you. And it's played by Maya Rudolph, and she actually nails this. Maya Rudolph is someone who shows up to work. No matter what kind of shit she's in, she will show up to work. And yeah, she's doing this great, like, customer service, oh, that's wonderful voice while she's talking about how she has to destroy him. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, you know what? That's actually something clever that you did there, making the smiley face the villain. All right, that's not bad. And then they go to, like, this bar, and the bar is full of like trolls who are meant to be like actual trolls on the internet.
Oh.
Which is okay, that's interesting. But then like the bartender at this place is a actual Trojan horse. Like, okay, Trojan horse virus, I guess. Like, they did some kind of clever stuff with the like viruses and the malwares and stuff that were in this bar. They find this hacker, and the hacker is this other emoji in there. And again, this thing moves so fucking fast. Because, like, she's like, no, I don't want anything to do with you guys, leave me alone. And then TJ Miller's character just forms a different face, and she's like, wait, you can form different emotions? Okay, come with me. Like, instantly, off to the races. We have no time for character development. We have no time for these characters to talk. They have to move. Like, the worst example of that is, like, later on in this film, there's a moment in which they have to abandon High Five, and TJ Miller is like, no, we can't do that. We have to go and help him. And then the hacker just goes, listen, I only look out for number one. And then he goes, but if you only look out for number one, then there won't be any other numbers. And then she goes, like, literally that's her reaction to him saying that. And then right from there, she goes, okay, I think I know a way to find him. Like, that is all it took. Like, I am not joking. It is literally, listen, I only look out for number one. If you only look out for number one, then there won't be any other numbers. Okay, I think I know a way to find him. That is all it fucking takes. That is how quick this thing moves. Because this entire film...
It's like changing your mind simply for plot convenience.
Absolutely, because this entire film, it literally is the best example I've ever seen of writers not giving a shit. Of just being complete copy and paste, because this is supposed to be the you find yourself storyline, and it's like it could not be more of a like, okay, what do we have here? We got the main guy's kind of got an attitude. He's misunderstood. Society doesn't understand him. He meets up with a girl. She's got differently colored hair, and she's kind of got an attitude herself, and she's kind of rebellious. And then they've got a goofy friend in there who tags along for the whole thing. And then they kind of go on the journey of discovery, but then they decide to return home and save the day. That's what we're gonna do. It's just that, and it's like, well, so are a lot of things. A lot of things fall like, yeah, but they have like characters. Mm-hmm. They have like different twists and turns. They explore different ideas. This, it is literally, like I said, I only look out for number 1. Well, if you only look out for number 1, what will happen to the other numbers? Okay, let's go save the day. It's literally like that because they're like, we don't give a shit about actually explaining any of this. We don't give a shit about having these characters grow, about actually looking at their emotions, which is interesting considering that they're supposed to be symbols that represent emotions. We just give a shit about getting to that next beat. The next thing that's supposed to happen in these stories, let's just get to that moment. Okay, so they team up and they're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get into the cloud because there we can leave the phone. And once we've left the phone, I can rewrite your DNA, I can rewrite your code, and that will make you a meh. It won't make you this weird freak or whatever it is that they call you in here. And that's their plan. They're going to get onto the cloud. And this is when it gets to, like I said, this is when it becomes worse in one way than Norm of the North. Because Norm of the North, for anybody who didn't see it, I'm sure I have a card popping up somewhere throughout this video. I'll have some at the end of this video where you can check it out. But Norm of the North, it wasn't original either.
No.
It was just going from one thing to the next. Mm-hmm. But the animation was awful.
It was.
It, again, just like this thing, it was clearly like a boardroom coming together and going, well, what do we need to do? What do the kids like? And like, in that one, it was like, Minions, they like the Minions, give us our own little version of the Minions. There's no Minions in here, I'll say that much. However, there is so much text speak in here, so much of like people just saying like TLDR, like stuff like that. Or at one point a character just says hashtag for no reason. Like he doesn't follow it with anything, he just says hashtag. I'm like, this was a group of people going, what do the kids like? So again, with Northern North right there, Northern North, the animation is so fucking awful. And at least in this one, the thing they're trying to do, I understand what they're trying to do. In Norm of the North, he was trying to protect something, and the way he was trying to protect it was by purposely destroying it. And he said, yeah, listen, I know I'm purposely destroying it, but at the very last second, I'll turn around and save it. Oh no, the evil guy I was working for betrayed me at the very last second. How did I see it happen? I caused all this myself. No shit, you idiot. And this one's like, okay, you're going from one place to the next, I get it. So yeah, so in that way, this is better than Norm of the North. This is when it gets worse. They then have to escape out of the app, out of the texting app, and they have to then make their way over to Dropbox, because Dropbox is a program that lets you drop stuff in there and get it onto the cloud. Dropbox, for anybody who doesn't know, and I'm shocked if you don't know this, it's an actual app in the real world. And when I saw that they were going to have to go out there into these phone apps, my very first thought was, how are you going to do this? Because you don't own the rights to any of these apps. How are you going to do that? Are you just going to make up a bunch of fake apps? Or is it going to be option B, which I had not thought about? Are you just going to make this the biggest product placement film in years?
You know, I'm not surprised it went for the option B, especially after seeing that Candy Crush in the trailer.
Oh, I didn't see the trailer for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that, because
Yeah.
that's when it hit me.
Yeah.
As soon as they escape, they then have to go and run into this other app, and then all of a sudden, the TJ Miller emoji just finds himself like, oh, I'm in this wall. Well, I can't get out. And he looks around these other things and is like, okay, it's going to be a ripoff of Candy Crush. And then it just goes, Candy Crush.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so it's the actual thing. All right, well, okay, so you got that one in there. You got that one in there. But then they just play a fucking game of Candy Crush
Yes.
out there. It's like, oh my god, I'm just watching a fucking commercial
It's
for
like,
Candy
I could
Crush.
just be playing Candy Crush on my own phone. I don't need to see...
I guarantee you there were many parents in this audience doing just that. Ugh. Yeah, it's literally like, it just turned into a game of Candy Crush. I just sat there watching this like, oh my god. Like, they stop and explain the rules of Candy Crush, and as they try and get him out of there by arranging everything around, and there's even like a moment in which the High Five goes, oh, what's this piece? And it's the little like electric thing that shocks them all. I'm like, you're even like including, oh my god. This is worse than in Angry Birds, when all of a sudden the end of that game just turned, when all of a sudden at the end of that movie, it just turned into a game of Angry Birds. At least that was called Angry Birds. At least it was supposed to be that. This one, I was just stunned watching that, but I was like, oh, you had to get one in there. And then she goes, okay, in order to get to the cloud, we have to maneuver around here. We can take a shortcut through Just Dance, and that will take us into Dropbox. Like, I'm sorry, Just Dance, like the video game. They then go into the actual video game Just Dance, and they even have like the giant holographic woman pop up. It's like, okay, if you get 3 strikes, then you're out. Get the stars to move ahead. Make sure that you match my dance moves. And I'm like, oh my god, just a fucking, it's just Dance. And then out of nowhere, the hacker girl's like, I can't dance. I was like, don't you try and create character development now. It is far too late with far too little. So yeah, and it's like the high five emoji, he can dance, so he's getting up there. TJ Miller, he can dance because he's all about expressing himself, but she can't dance. So they have to dance together, and oh, there comes the romance. And again, like I fucking said, this thing is just so by the fucking numbers. But I've seen by the numbers stuff where they at least try and explain how it gets from A to B. This is by the numbers in, we just have to get there. Just fucking do it. And I was like, you can tell, because I mean, literally, like, this was in there just for an excuse for them to dance, and then they just look at each other like, oh, and it's like, then bam, instantly they're in love. There's character connections. But here's one way in which it matches Norm of the North that I was not expecting at all. One of my other big complaints, like I said, Norm of the North, very clearly, it was made by a boardroom. They're sitting around going, we need to come up with the next most popular thing out there. And that's why Norm, for no reason at all, has a dance called the Arctic Shuffle. And he has a specially coordinated Arctic dance that he does. And you could tell they wanted kids to do that all over the planet. However, at least in the Arctic Shake, he does things that it's like a kid couldn't do that. So it's like, I guess, even though you're supposed to be branding this, you're supposed to like, you wanted to put out there like dance videos for kids starring him doing this in there. You can tell they didn't expect kids to actually do this. There was a moment where TJ Miller just starts doing a new dance where he just starts putting his hand in front of his face, then he forms a new face and just,
That's not even a dance. That's
that's literally what he's doing.
That's something parents do to their babies.
Which, that's probably who the target audience of this film is. So he starts doing that, and then the big holographic woman goes, hey, that's a funky new dance. What do you call it? And he goes, the Emoji Pop. The Emoji Pop? I like it. Everybody do the Emoji Pop. And then like, oh, it is painful. And you could tell like and then him and the hacker girl start doing this in unison. And you could tell they wanted kids everywhere to be doing this. They wanted this to sweep the fucking nation. I was like, they're just heads.
Yeah.
Their entire body is just heads. So if you want kids to be doing this, what the fuck are their actual bodies supposed to do during this dance? I mean, literally the dance is just, like that's it, that's the dance. That's literally all the dance is. And sure enough, spoiler alert for this story, it comes back around at the end. The whole thing ends with all the emojis getting together and going, come on everyone, do the Emoji Pop! And they all just start doing it for the camera like, holy crap.
And then it gets scanned. It's like, oh, you're all defective.
You're all defective. I know, that was something that got me. It's like, so you can all just now make emotions now? Like, what is this? But so they have to so they go from Just Dance into Dropbox, but while they're doing that, his parents are searching for him. TJ Miller's parents are searching for him, and they're both mess. Which, another positive I do have to give this film, Stephen Wright plays his dad, and Stephen Wright, you guys might not be aware of. You know him, but you probably don't know his name. But he was a stand-up comedian who was famous for always talking like this. Yeah,
he has a very distinct voice. You will know it when you hear it.
But I kind of dug that he played TJ Miller's dad. Mm-hmm. Because what I guarantee most of our audience knows it from is in Half-Baked, he was the stoner guy who just sat on the couch the entire time. And I thought, TJ Miller has probably played that exact character like 9 times. Like, there are a ton of films out there where TJ Miller has been this, before he got big, when he was just like a character actor, he was just the stoner guy who sat on the couch like, hey man, it's like, oh my god, How has no one ever like put those two together as father and son? Like that actually really freaking works. So okay, I'll give you guys that one. But they're trying to now escape the robots, and they go into the YouTube app and they just put up their kitten videos to distract the robots with them. I was like, did YouTube pay you for this? Like, I can't imagine YouTube hearing that there's an Emoji movie and they're like, oh, we could promote YouTube in this, and they're like,
no,
we're fucking YouTube. That's like, Google doesn't need promotion, Bing needs promotion, Google doesn't need it, YouTube doesn't need it. Everyone knows what YouTube is.
No, they probably just like needed to like pad time. It's like, oh hey, non-monetized videos from YouTube.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
Free content.
Yeah, free content.
Smart.
Yep.
You motherfuckers.
Yeah.
They make a sequel to this.
They wasted all their money on like celebrity voice actors and Candy Crush and Just Dance.
That's the shocking thing. There were some good ass voice actors in here, and I'm like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
You are way better than this. But so there's the YouTube thing. Then they get into Dropbox, and they're trying to escape the killer robot things. And oh no, before that, again, another example of how this film just moves from one thing into the next without giving a shit. There is when they're trying to escape Just Dance, like the Just Dance app won't stop going off in this kid's pocket because they're playing it in there. So he has to delete the Just Dance app while it's in there. And you then see like the whole world crumbling around them, and the high five thing goes, and the high five guy falls into the abyss. And like, well, how do we get him out of there? Well, we have to go into the trash and save him from the trash before he's deleted at the end of the night. And that was the moment in which he was like, I only look out for number one. Well, if you only look out for number one, there won't be any other numbers. I can't stop going back to that. It's the laziest shit. And then you cut to the high five emoji. They're in the trash. And while he's in the trash, he finds a letter that the kid wrote to this girl he has a crush on that he scrapped. And he's looking at that. He's like, oh, that's so sad. And then he just throws it away. And he's like, oh, I'm going to die here. I'm going to die here in the trash. Just leave me. Leave me here. I will fade away. That is all the time he spends in the trash before all of a sudden TJ Miller's character comes down on a big rope like, hey, I'm here to grab you. Yeah, now we're free. That was it. And all you think of was, remember Inside Out?
Yes, I was thinking that.
Mm-hmm. Remember Inside Out when they're in that, like, the place where all the memories go to die?
Yeah.
Oh my god, like, I don't know if this was a direct ripoff of that, but it's so similar.
This movie feels like a ripoff of everything. It's like Wreck-It Ralph, Inside Out.
Lego Movie.
The
Lego Movie. 1,000 times the Lego Movie. You know what this is? This movie is, you know when like Kung Fu Panda comes out and then you go to like a red box and there's Kick Punch Panda there?
Yes.
Yeah. This feels like the movie that would have come out when Lego Movie came out, like when you went to the red box. Like this feels like a bunch of yellow-faced things that's a generic property that probably wouldn't be too expensive to buy up, and it has the exact same message and exact same journey. I mean, even like you can compare Hacker to Wild Style easily from the Lego Movie.
Except the thing is, in the Lego Movie, it was like parodying. It was a parody. It was parodying those tropes.
It was parodying those tropes. It absolutely was.
But
at the same time, Legos actually have a message to them.
Yeah.
Legos are about creativity.
Yes.
Legos are about having fun. And it did a brilliant thing in there in which the big villain of the whole thing was someone who was like, no, I'm a collector. I don't think that these should be used for fun. They're used for a display. You don't get to play with them. And it's like, yeah, you're not being creative with them, which is what Legos are for. You're not having fun with them, which is what Legos are for. Yeah, it had a fucking message to it. It was something that went, aren't Legos special? And it made you realize, yeah, they kind of are. There is something special about Legos. There is nothing special about emojis. At fucking all. And I'm sorry, I feel confident in saying that and knowing no one is going to defend that. I feel confident in saying no one is going to step up and go, oh, don't you understand? Emojis are the way that we express ourselves. I think even those people out there who use like 9 emojis per message would be willing to go, yeah, I could just say, I'm happy, rather than putting in a smiley face. I fully believe I could just do that even if they took, if emojis were gone tomorrow, I think it'd be fine. Yeah, there's nothing to them. So it's like they have nothing to really promote in here.
Yeah.
Like the whole point of this is you should allow this emoji to express himself. That's the moral of the story. You should be allowed to express yourself. And it's like, yeah, you should be allowed to express yourself. emojis are not what you, like, that's not the fucking point. Like, if the point of this was all the emojis come together to kind of, like, create a message for this kid, and, like, the kid sees it and is like, now I know what I have to say. And then he goes up to the girl and he says it to her himself, and it's like, yeah, you know what? See, these little symbols, they do contain little messages in there. They do remind you of things. They do make you think of things. And that can, like, trigger something inside you that isn't just, you know, isn't just a picture. It is actually a memory. It is actually a message. And that can actually spur you on to do something else. Don't get me wrong, I think it's total bullshit, but it is a message that I would be like, alright, I'll buy it. You go with it. But, like, they're just like, no, he should be allowed to express himself. And I'm like, you literally established if he does that, you all die. Like, that is the message of this film. If he does that, you all die. And I mean, they like stop at one point and go, emojis shouldn't just be one thing. It's like, yeah, they fucking should. That's their whole
point.
That's
it's
their
like...
job. Like, literally, it's one of those things where it's like, in the Lego movie, it's Lego should not be used just for collecting and just for display. They should be used for fun. This is like if in the Lego movie they came in and went, Lego should not be used just for collecting and just for display, and the entire audience just went, yeah, they fucking should. Yeah, they absolutely, it says that on the box. It says on the box, for display purposes only. That is what you're supposed to do with them. Okay. But yeah, exactly, it's like that garbage scene, it made me think, oh my, it's so similar. I can't believe that this is like, that this isn't like just stolen directly from that. But from there, after they get him, they then go into Dropbox, but they're being chased by the robots again, and then they run in there, and Dropbox closes the door on them, and they go, should we be concerned? And then the hacker goes, no, that's a malware program, and Dropbox is a secure program. They literally fucking stopped the film to give you the sales pitch of Dropbox. It literally, she might as well just have turned to the camera when she said that. It's like, no, that's a malware. And Dropbox is secure for all your files. Like, this is stunning. This is stunning. The amount of shitty ass product placement that goes into
It's
this.
like, hey, look how fun Candy Crush is. Why don't you download the app now?
Having to scratch our dog's head because it relaxed me. Okay. Yeah, it is just so fucking frustrating. And like, they get into Dropbox, they go into the cloud, and they're up there, and then TJ Miller is like, you could be with me forever. Like, at this moment, they're now in love. They also shared a magic boat ride down Spotify. Which is just an excuse to jam a bunch of other songs in there. Like, they must be getting paid to use songs in here too, because they had Just Dance, they had Spotify in there. It's like, Jesus Christ.
It's like a ton of money went into this movie, didn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing that gets me. When all those people were telling me, like, why did you go to support this? Take it from someone who saw this. My money doesn't mean shit to these guys. This movie only cost $50 million to make. When was the last time you heard of an animated film that cost only $50 million to make? That is cheap. And when you look at like Spotify, Dropbox, Candy Crush, Just Dance, all the songs that are in here, every single thing that is product placed into this thing, it makes you realize not a fucking person could have gone to see this and they would have made their money back day one. One person bought a ticket, they made their money back on this thing. Because, yeah, it is just nothing but a product placement film. And that's infuriating. And you know what made me realize how much time we got here? Okay, I got enough time to say this. All right. You know what made me realize? This movie is if the people on Food Fight tried. Because Food Fight, for anybody who doesn't know, is a legendarily bad animated film. Like, there are tons of reviews out there. I'm not going to sum it up for you. Go ahead and just watch one at random. But it was a film that took years to make. Like, almost a decade to make, I think it was. And it had a massive budget. But the reason it had a massive budget is because it was these, like, it was mascots for food products in a grocery store at night. And they used a ton of real food mascots. They used like Charlie the Tuna, Mr. Clean, the classic pickled whatever thing.
Stork.
That's it. But yeah, they had tons of product placement in there. The Chiquita Banana Woman, I remember, was in there. And that's why their budget was so big, is because they included the product placement money in with their actual budget. And people looked at the cheap piece of shit that they made and they're like, where did all the money go? Into their fucking pockets. Into their pockets. I'm watching this as like, this is like if the people who made Food Fight A were smart enough to keep the product placement money out of their budget totals so people don't know how much money they got from this. B, if they actually had the product placement serve a purpose in this thing, if they actually stopped to spotlight it, because I guarantee you all the product placement people in Food Fight were pissed because none of the mascots that paid to have themselves in that film were in that film for more than just a walk-on cameo in the background. If they actually stopped to make each of those product placement characters actually important to the story, and if they actually tried with the animation to make it look decent, it doesn't look great in here. In fact, there is one weird shot in here where the frame rate changes, where it just goes from like 30 to 60 frames per second like that. It's like, whoa, that was jarring. So the animation doesn't look great, but it looks passable. It looks like something you could see in a theater. Not something great in a theater, but something you could see in a theater. And if they also made sure to put in there a story that actually connected all the product placement together. This is if Food Fight tried. That's what this is. Which doesn't make it as bad as Food Fight because, as we said, a shitty product placement scam artist film that doesn't try is still worse than a shitty scam artist product placement film that tries. But okay, so she turns him down because she can't go back to the emoji world. She wants to stay in the cloud. And she's asked, like, why, like, she was asked earlier in this film, like, why do you want to leave and why do you want to go to the cloud? And she's like, because I hate Texopolis. It's just full of so many rules. That is literally it. She just doesn't like that there's so many rules in Texopolis. Again, made by committee. Made by guys in a boardroom going, well, what's the message of all, what do kids hate? Kids hate rules. That's what the kids hate out there. Kids want to be free to express themselves with their little emojis. Kids are always rebellious and they hate rules. So yeah, she literally just says, because I hate rules. The laziest job you could have done with this. Like, there was no effort put into it. It was just like, this feels like a script that was written on a cocktail napkin. Like, it feels like somebody who went, oh, okay, I'm going to write out the liner notes for this thing. I'm going to write out, like, all the little beats that need to happen. And then they turned that in and went, the next writer will come on here, and he'll add all this stuff to connect all those dots. And there was no next writer. Like, that was it. Which, it has 3 writers on there. Which means that the next 2 guys were like, yeah, this looks fine. Pass on you. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's film it. That's what this was. God, no stretching. Good boy. All right, sorry. I have to stop and pet my dog every now and again. Okay. But we're almost done because this was a short-ass film. Another thing that I can say as a positive for this, it at least moved fast. It was over with pretty quick.
Granted, it doesn't have much to work with.
No. But then he decides, alright, well, I'm a man now, so I'll just go back to Texopolis. And then suddenly just a big door opens up and the malware virus comes in and snags him and then takes him back. And I was just sitting there like, you just said 5 minutes ago malwares can't get into Dropbox, so you're safe. You're not only in Dropbox, you're in the Dropbox cloud right now. And the malware got off the phone as well and came up there to the Dropbox cloud and grabbed you after you said it cannot do that. You said it could do that because you wanted to advertise Dropbox. If I was Dropbox, I would gladly go into this studio and go, give me my fucking money back. You just showed a virus infiltrating our program.
So, like, the cloud, was it like an actual cloud?
It was like a cloud. It was like...
Alright, so, like, wouldn't it have made more sense if you, like, jumped off the cloud, or...
No, because he had to get caught. He had to get
Like, no,
caught.
I mean, like, he jump off the cloud to get caught. Like,
Oh,
they
yeah.
catch him in air.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he comes... Or as soon as he walks back through the Dropbox doors, as soon as he walks out of the app, they're waiting for him. But no, it's in there. So they have to go and save him. And this whole time, there's been this storyline where they're like, oh, there was a princess app, but it disappeared long ago. And then, what's her face? The hacker reveals she's the missing princess. By the way, our dog is scratching his tag, so if you're wondering what that sound is.
Yeah, he's no longer on the couch,
Yes,
which is good because he was starting to kick me in the back.
I was watching that and I was like, you poor thing. Okay. So, she reveals she's the princess, and then she whistles to summon her birds, and it's the Twitter bird that comes down. And when the Twitter bird comes down, a little girl in the back of the theater just went, Twitter! And I was like, that is who this audience is. That's who this movie is for. This movie is for the people who get a kick just out of recognizing things. Like, if you're one of those people who still loves Family Guy, and I don't just mean you love Family Guy, I mean specifically you still love all their cutaway jokes that are just simply them going, it's this thing, shows this thing, cuts back to them. If you're one of those people who still loves that, maybe you'll enjoy this, because it literally was just me going, oh my god, this movie is for the people who will laugh just at seeing the Twitter bird. Not at having a joke behind the Twitter bird, just it's the Twitter bird. That's all it is. Okay, so they then go back. The phone starts getting deleted because he takes it in because they're like, this phone is acting up too much. And like the entire world is being destroyed. All the other apps are being erased. Everything's being wiped away in this big, giant wave of white nothingness. And they're like, wait a minute. If we can send one text to that girl he likes, and we can have it be the perfect emoji to show him exactly how he feels, then he might stop us from being deleted. And as I said, everything's already being deleted.
Yeah.
You can't undelete something. Like, you see, like, all of his photographs being erased, which he has, like, photographs of his trip to France, and I was just like, dude, that's fucking cold. Like, your parents are in that photo. Like, at least have a backup somewhere. Did you put them in Dropbox? I'm hoping they're in Dropbox in there somewhere. Then again, as we've seen from this film, Dropbox can apparently be hacked into by malware. So they're like, okay, well, which one should we use? Which one should we use? And they're all going around arguing about this. I should point out at this point, Patrick Stewart plays the poop emoji.
Yeah, we all know that.
But there is a moment in which everything like is flashing red, like, oh no, everything is being destroyed. And then all of a sudden in his little box, out of nowhere, he now has a swivel chair, and he turns around and goes, red alert, red alert. And I was like, shame on you, Patrick Stewart. You're better than that. You're better than to bring Star Trek into this thing. So they're trying to figure it out, and then they go, wait a minute, we have to do all those emojis. He can do all those emojis, so they have to scan him, and he's like, I don't know what I should be. And then he just starts being every emoji at once, and he's like, the bashful one, the heart eyes one, the kiss one, the one, whatever you want to call that, like all the friendly ones at once. And then she gets the text with that, and she looks at it, and it's him in a constant, ever-changing emoji. It's him just going, blush, heart eyes, lick, like all these different ones, like just constantly changing. And she's like, oh, that's a really cool emoji. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that. You know what? I will go to the dance with you. And
Yeah,
again,
that's totally-
it is just that. Like, she literally like says to him something like, you know what? I like guys who aren't afraid to show their emotions. And I was like, oh yeah, well, you know, me too. Hey, do you think you might want to go? Yeah, I'll go to the dance with you. Okay, thanks. And then he runs over his phone and unplugs it from like the deleting machine that's hooked up to.
So now he only has like half of his info on there. Like
No, because everything is magically restored. Everything.
That's
comes
not
back.
how that works.
Not how deleting happens. Not how deleting works. Nope.
That's not how the real world works, and that's not how phones work.
But,
people in the real world will not automatically fall for you because you send them a whole bunch of emojis.
No, you gotta send them dick pics to make that happen.
Eggplant
That's
emojis.
where the sequel. That's where the sequel is. That's him getting to college, and it's just dick pic the movie is what it is.
Yes.
By the way, guys, don't send dick pics. No one likes them.
No.
Ever. No one has ever liked a dick pic.
Nope. No, the next one will be sexting the movie.
No, Tinder. That's what it is. It's Tinder. He starts experimenting with Grindr a little bit. It's a really touching story about self-discovery is what the sequel to this is.
It's like he finds out he's gay or bisexual.
See, that Emoji movie was really groundbreaking, and we never gave it any credit. But so he unplugs it, it restores the entire world, and all I could think was, she wants to get with him because he had this special, ever-changing emoji, and this whole film is supposed to go, this is how special emojis are. And I'm like, that emoji does not exist. The thing that she fell in love with him for is not an actual emoji. You cannot get one that is constantly changing into every face all at once. It doesn't freaking exist.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Who knows with today's technology?
Well, I'm sure it might happen at one point, but I mean, it's like, they're advertising like, this is how great they are. But like with the Lego movie, when they came in and go, this is how great Legos are, it's like, yeah, look at the things they're building.
Yeah.
You can build that with Legos.
Yes, you can actually build these things.
You can use your imagination to go on this great big adventure with these Legos. Build it yourself. Have fun. Be creative. You can do that with Legos. You can't. There is no magic emoji that fixed everything at the end of this film. It doesn't exist. This is the most incompetent, like, ripoff you could imagine of the Lego movie. Like, when you heard they were making the Lego movie, this is what you imagined it was going to be.
Yeah, this was like worst case scenario for
This
Lego.
was worst case scenario for it, absolutely. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. That's everything that happened in there. And I was just like, it's, like I said, I'll say this is why I'm not, I know I seem angry at this thing, but it's not going to be my worst of the year. It's not. It's probably going to be top 5 though, but like, the reason why other films constantly get higher than this, and the reason I get angry at other films than this is because there are some terrible jokes in here. There are some awful jokes in here. But they're not all awful. They're not all terrible. There aren't really any good ones in here, but I'd say about a half to 2/3 of the jokes are just like,
Or meh.
Yeah.
The actual meta mode.
Yeah. I can't go 2/3 now that I think about it, but half the jokes in here are meh, whatever. Like, you can sit through it. And this thing does move quickly, so you are in and out of this film, so it doesn't really drag you down. But, like I said, the shocking and appalling amount of product placement in here. The fact that they really just openly did not care, and they were just like, here's the structure of the story, just do that exact thing, without writing anything on top of it. But then again, the voice actors are pretty good here. They do actually try. But then you go back around and the dialogue is just freaking awful in this thing. And it's the embodiment of people not caring. And nothing frustrates me more than when people just don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I follow Scott Derrickson on Twitter. And Scott Derrickson, he's the guy who directed Sinister and he directed Doctor Strange. And he posted something recently that said, man, fuck anyone who does a worst movies of the year list. I go to movies because I like movies. And I went, I like movies too, which is what makes me really fucking pissed when someone comes in here and clearly does not give a shit and is just trying to make money on this thing. And like I said, it doesn't matter if an audience went and saw this thing. They got so much product placement off this thing, they easily already made their money back on it. So it did not matter at all. This was a scam job to begin with. Yeah, this is the exact reason why you have to make worst of the movie of the year list. This is the exact reason why those things exist in the first place. So yeah, it is a stunningly bad film, but it wasn't punishment. It wasn't me going, oh my god, just make it in. I was like, instead it was me, they're like, I'm sure this will be over soon. Any minute now. Alright, come on, yeah. Let's move on to the next thing. Oh my god, they are moving on to the next thing. Alright, fine, well, alright, there's that. Yeah, it wasn't punishing. It was shockingly bad at moments, but I could live with it. And I will also just go ahead and say, I brought up the Lego movie a lot in here. Clearly, A, because they were clearly ripping it off. But also because I know a lot of people out there, even like professional critics, who are just like, Cosmo, what are you eating?
poop.
That was a weird cut. Sorry, Cosmo was chewing on her shoe, and when we tried to stop him, he then bumped into the camera and almost knocked it over. But I brought up the Lego movie so much in this, A, because they were so clearly trying to rip it off at every twist and turn of this film. But also I brought it up so much because so many people out there, when they heard about this film, when they saw the commercials, they said, this is officially the sign that Hollywood has run out of ideas. And not just like regular moviegoers, I mean like professional critics who have seen all this stuff before. Like even they were going, well, Hollywood clearly doesn't have any more original ideas. And I'm like, you were the same people applying the Lego movie just a few years ago, and yet right before you applied it, you were pointing at that exact same thing going, well, clearly Hollywood has run out of ideas. So not only do we have a very recent example of something that shows like, yeah, this isn't new. They've been doing this. I grew up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm. We both grew up in the 80s.
We both grew up in the 80s. This was everywhere in the 80s.
Oh, absolutely.
In the 80s, half of all the cartoons we had were just based off of action figures. And you might go, well, weren't the action figures made off the cartoons? No. Other way around, G.I. Joe existed for a long period of time before they turned into a cartoon. And there were some out there like Thundercats that you could look at and it's like, well, that's kind of like its own original story that just happens to have action figures. But then there were other ones like Transformers or Masters of the Universe where the characters specifically moved like the action figures.
Oh, don't get me started on the girls' cartoons like My Little Pony and Jim the Hologram. Is like those were deliberately made to sell toys to girls.
Oh, dude, do you remember Visionaries? Visionaries was one. It was a bunch of knights, and they had these big staffs that had like big symbols on there, and the symbols were holographic images that displayed an animal inside they could summon. Guess what the action figure was? Guys with staffs with a holographic image of an animal on. It was like, dude, you didn't even try with this one. And it's not just like action figures. One of my favorite cartoons when I was a kid was based on candy. Do you remember the Gummy Bears?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God, it's like the cartoon like had little to nothing to do with the candy, so it was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot.
They were squishy. That was the only thing they had in common, like that and gummy juice.
Yes, the gummy juice made them bounce.
Bounce, yes, exactly. And that provided them with the best freaking theme song of all time. Seriously, that is an amazing theme song. Our dog really wants food, so it is about...
Yeah.
He's
getting hungry for gummy bears.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Imagination that's beyond compare. We are the gummy bears. He's about to knock the tripod over again, so let's go ahead and end this. Thank you guys for tuning in. This movie is awful.
I just want to say, I don't know if you want to continue since he's being a fussy.
No, we can continue. He can be a fuss for a little bit longer.
Okay, well, it's funny how you mentioned how Hollywood is run out of ideas and all that, but it's like I think Hollywood is just afraid of original ideas because the Popeye movie got screwed to make this.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Popeye's not an original idea.
No,
Popeye's based on a property.
I know, but here's the thing: it actually has a story to it.
It does. That's very true. Here's the thing. Hollywood wants their cake and eat it too. Mm-hmm. They want great stories, they want great characters, they want memorable films, but they also want them to be based on properties so that way they don't have to have that much risk. That way they can get that audience that already knows what the property is to come in first. That's what they want. And that was the problem with this film is that half that equation they stopped trying on.
Yeah.
This they went, well, let's just forget the great story and let's just go with the name. That's all we need, just the name. We don't need the great story and the great characters and everything. Slice that off. We know the blueprint. Just take that blueprint, apply to this name, done. Whereas with the Genndy Tartakovsky Popeye film, I'm sure there was a story in that. I'm sure that they were trying to make something in that. I'm also sure that a studio exec looked at that and went, kids aren't talking about Popeye these days. Nobody's talking about Popeye. Kids are talking about emojis and their phones. We're going to make a movie about their phones. By the way, I also have to point out, they had to, in order to get the Dropbox, they had to go through other apps to get there. When they were chasing TJ Miller after he had been kidnapped to get back, they just ran around all the apps and just went right back to the text one. And I was like...
So he went full circle, literally.
No, I mean, they skipped the apps. They say they had to go through apps, jump between them in order to make their way to Dropbox from the text app. To get back, they just went, oh, let's just run past all the apps. Just run. Cosmo, you almost knocked the tripod over again. All right. But yeah, that got screwed, and the saddest part of it all is that this thing starts with a Hotel Transylvania short written and directed by Genndy Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
So it was very clear that he was like, man, he must have hated doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was like, I was going to make something I really wanted to do, something I was passionate about, and you guys are now forcing me to make a short to go in front of the thing I hate. Sorry for the weird cut, but Cosmo would not stop freaking out. He really wants his dinner. So we're going to wrap this up now. Wave goodbye, Cosmo. You can let me know what you thought of this film, even though I hope none of you saw it, down in the comments below. Or you can reach me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Say goodbye, Cosmo. Goodbye. Bark. No, don't lick me. No.